rise. The District Court for the County of Fleet is now in session. Honorable Commissar Evans presiding.
Good morning. You may be seated. Calling the case of Leslie Kellogg et al. Versus L. Paul Phillips Sr. File et al. File 18-900276-CH. Would counsel identify for the record, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Mary Ann O'Neill on behalf of Lawson and Kellogg's.
Richard Batchelor on behalf of Counter Defendant Kellogg.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jay Brown on behalf of Paul and Carla Phillips.
And do any other attorneys appear via Zoom?
Good morning, Your Honor. Joshua Farr appearing in pro per as an attorney and here for John Farr, Julie Farr, and Jamie Alberti.
Kelly Rigo Green on behalf of the Stadlers.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I was speaking over you, and I could you repeat yourself?
Sure, it's Kelly Rigo Green, and I'm on behalf of the Stadlers.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anyone else appear in this matter? Any unrepresented parties or interested parties? Record should indicate no response. The record should further indicate today was the date and time scheduled for a settlement conference in this matter. It was scheduled to start at 9 a.m. The various attorneys and their clients have been working diligently seeking to achieve a resolution in this case. It's now 10:40 a.m. by the court's clock, and it's the court's understanding that some significant progress has been made, but in light of the fact that, but there's more to be done, and in light of the fact that we have a bench trial currently scheduled to start at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, September 8th, do you have any suggestion or request you wanted to make to the court, Ms. Jones? I'm
yes.
sorry, Ms. O'Neill.
It's okay. My maiden name was Jones, so it's perfectly fine. Your Honor, I think the attorneys collectively would ask that that trial date be converted to a mandatory settlement conference, which requires the attendance in person and not by Zoom of all parties and their counsel, in the hopes that we would have a settlement to put on the record at that time. And so that would be the request. We're obviously hoping to get farther along the process in terms of going out to the site this afternoon and maybe consulting with some engineers in the meantime.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you concur in that request, Mr. Batchelder?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Farr?
Yes.
And ma'am, do you concur as well?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any unrepresented parties who wish to place anything on record? The record should indicate no response. The court will adjourn the bench trial without date. I'll adjourn the bench trial currently set to start on September 8th. I'll adjourn it without date, but all parties and all attorneys and all unrepresented parties and all interested parties must appear in person at 9 a.m. at the court on Wednesday, September 8th, 2021 for a continuation of the settlement conference in this matter. And everyone is advised that it's entirely possible the settlement will be reached at that time. So anyone wishing to have input will have to be here in person at that time. Thank you. Is there anything further, Ms. O'Neill?
Not on my end, Your Honor.
Or from anyone else?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Batchelder. And Mr. Farr.
Nothing, Your Honor.
And you too as well, ma'am.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. And we were not able to resolve things completely today, but I do congratulate the parties for being able to reason together and to make significant progress. And we'll see everyone back here on September 8th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, are you envisioning that I would prepare and submit an order to the court?
Thank you, Ms. O'Neill.
I will do that. I'll submit it under the 7-day rule.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All rise.
It will be adjourned. Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
the claims representative here on behalf of the Kellogg Insurance Bureau, is it okay if he be excused for the day? I don't think there's a need, he knows to go to the site.
Sure. Thank you. You're welcome to go out to the site if you want, but you don't have to. Second.
I know so long.
Thank you, Mr. Batchel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's what my people merit.
We'll be here.
You will rise, Fifth District Court for the county fair is now in session. Commissar Evans presiding.
Good morning. You may be seated. Calling the case of Jacob Bigelow versus Corey Wenzel, file 21-900-277-PH. Would counsel identify for the record, are there any on this case? The record should indicate no response. Mr. Bigelow, would you please raise your right hand to be sworn, sir?
Yes, sir.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell us your name?
Jacob Bigelow.
You may be seated if you'd like, Mr. Bigelow. Mr.
Okay.
Wenzel, would you please raise, Mr. Wenzel, would you please raise your right hand to be sworn, sir?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Could you tell us your name?
Corey Wenzel.
You may be seated if you'd like, Mr. Winslow. What brings us into court today is that previously, about a month ago, back on July 15 of 2021, the petitioner, Jacob Bigelow, filed a petition seeking entry of a personal protection order against the respondent, Corey Wenzel. Later that same day, on July 15, 2021, this court issued an ex parte personal protection order against Mr. Corey Wenzel, prohibiting him from doing certain things and specifically prohibiting him, Mr. Wenzel, from doing certain things regarding Mr. Bigelow. That personal protection order was scheduled to remain in effect for a period of 1 year until July 15, 2022, or until further order of the court. After that occurred, about 6 days later, on Tuesday, July 27, 2021, Clare County Sheriff Deputy Nicholas Oster served a copy of the personal protection order personally on the respondent, Corey Wenzel, at 4434 East Oakman in Harrison, Michigan, in Clare County, Michigan. Did you receive a copy of the personal protection order from Deputy Oster on that day, Mr. Wenzel?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Okay, and then after you received that, apparently that prompted you a couple days later, Mr. Wenzel, on July 29, 2021, to file a motion to terminate the personal protection order for this claimed reason that, quote, petitioner has filed false claims to remove my family and I from the property quicker. I have text messages proving the petitioner's girlfriend harassing us. I have not seen them in the store, and they purposely showed up at joint friend's house when they know I am there. We have called the police department twice from harassment from them, close quote. Mr. Bigelow, do you still want the personal protection order to remain in effect or not?
Yes, sir.
All right, and Mr. Wenzel, do you still want the personal protection order to be terminated?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wenzel, typically when someone wants a personal protection order terminated and they file a motion for that relief in the court, basically they want all or nothing. They want the court to make a ruling that the PPO should be dismissed or that the PPO should continue in effect. That's typically what happens on a personal protection order or PPO case. However, occasionally a respondent such as you, Mr. Wenzel, will come to court and basically say, well, I don't like having a PPO against me at all, Judge, but I'm willing to live with it if it could be tweaked in some fashion. So for instance, let's say the PPO prohibits me from driving by the petitioner's house, but I have to drive by the house on my way to work. But that's a rare circumstance.
Yes.
Is that what you're asking for, sir, or do you want to go ahead and have an all or nothing ruling from the court?
Your Honor, honestly, I mean, we're renting his girlfriend's house, and it was just all disagreement of no rent, and I understood that him and his family's got.
All right, well, sir, at this point, I'm not asking for the particulars of what your position is. I'll let you make those assertions later if you choose to. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out, is this a case where we're going to have a hearing, or is it one of those rare cases where you and Mr. Bigelow can agree to modify the personal protection order in some small way, but continue it in effect? Is that something you have any interest in? Or
yes, I don't want to come in contact with him. I have no intentions on doing any kind of harm. I have no intentions on causing him and his family any grief. It's just, I got a letter from the state of Michigan for stalking, and I'm not sure if I read it right, but saying something about not being able to use firearms, and I have nothing on my record. I haven't been arrested for anything. I mean, there's been times where,
Thank you, sir. Well, the personal protection order that I issued, I did not specifically, I chose not to check the box that says you are prohibited from purchasing or possessing a firearm. So that's not part of my personal protection order. However, you should be well aware that as far as the federal government, the United States government is concerned, anyone who has a personal protection order against them cannot legally own or possess a firearm or ammunition. And if you were to go, for example, to a federal firearms license holder, let's say Jay's Sporting Goods or some other federal firearms license holder, and seek to buy a gun, you're not going to be able to do it, because one of the questions they will ask is, do you have a personal protection order entered against you? And if you answer truthfully, you would have to say, yes, I do. And once that happens, even if you say, yes, I do have a PPO against me, but the judge didn't order that I not possess firearms, good luck getting a federal firearms license holder to sell you a gun. So it sounds like we're going to have a hearing.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Bigelow, the way this procedure works is that the burden now shifts over to you to show cause that you still need a personal protection order. You've indicated you want the personal protection order to remain in effect. Is that correct, Mr. Bigelow?
Yes, sir.
All right, do you know Corey Wenzel?
What's that?
Do you know Corey Wenzel?
Do I know him?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes. Yep.
How long have you known him?
Well, I've known him for probably about 2 years now.
All right. And did a point in time come when there started to be problems between you and Corey Wenzel?
It was pretty much when he moved into my girlfriend's house.
Was it
then
in April or thereabouts that the problem started?
the problem started probably about 3 months ago. Yep.
Okay.
Well, be about 4 months now, I guess.
Okay, so back around April of 2021, sometime in or before April, Corey Wenzel started renting a house and moved into a house that he was renting from your girlfriend, is that correct?
Yeah, yep. He moved in probably 4 months prior to that. Yep.
So about 4 months before today?
Right. Yep. Yep. That's when the harassment started. He moved in about, I'd say, 8 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, along about April, you claim that Corey started harassing you?
Right. Right.
All right, what is your girlfriend's name?
Our name is Heather Kern.
Heather Kern?
Yep.
How do you spell her last name?
Hold on a minute. It's let me see. I think it's Kurn.
Okay, and her first name is Heather?
Yes, sir.
All right. You wrote in your petition for personal protection order that Mr. Wenzel, quote, has threatened me on numerous occasions when I was trying to work with him on renting my girlfriend's parent, Heather Kern, parent house. He tried selling me pills to pay for his rent, and I told him I don't do pills, so it made him upset. Threatened me because my girlfriend is evicting him and his family. Is that true, sir?
Yes. Well, that's why I did the PP order, because I figured once we started the eviction process, it'd make him more angry. Yep.
All right, so that statement was true then, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Has Mr. Wenzel ever hit you or shoved you or pushed you against your will or committed any kind of physical attack on you?
No, just would be. He was very. He'd rant and rave on the phone. He had a mutual friend call me the day before he did the termination letter, trying to drop the PPO order and they'll move out of the house quicker, which that won't really matter to me. I told him that that they'd have to be out by the 15th anyway, or would have to bring him to court, and it's in the judge's hands. So it was just another way to harass me, I'd say.
All right, now, has Mr. Wenzel ever threatened to physically attack you or to hit you, shove you, push you, grab you, or do anything else physically against you, against your will?
Just to kick, he said he'd kick my butt, but that's about the only thing he'd said. Yep.
Right,
and calling me names.
All right, did he say that on one occasion or more than one occasion when he threatened?
Well, he called me names on more than one occasion, but he'd threatened me on one occasion. Yep.
All right, and how has his threats to kick your butt and his calling of you made you feel? Have you been felt frightened and harassed because of this?
Yeah, it just made me feel really depressed. I didn't really want to leave my house after that. You know, I don't go to my friend's house no more because of it.
All right, and have you told Mr. Wenzel not to contact you?
Yes, well, my girlfriend did over the phone to his wife, just pretty much telling us to leave us alone.
All right, and did that work? Did he have any contact with you after your girlfriend told his wife to say not to contact you any longer?
Just the day before he did the personal or the termination letter, like I said, he had his friend contact me, and he was in the background ranting and raving.
All right.
Yeah.
And that was after, so that was, you think, July 15th is the day the respondent, Corey Wenzel, filed the motion. I'm sorry, actually, July 29th.
Yep.
Was the day that Corey Wenzel filed the motion to terminate the PPO. So you think it was the day before that, July 28th?
I think it was the 27th.
Or the 27th? Okay.
Yep, I think it was 27th, yep.
Okay, and you think that Corey Wenzel's friend called you at the request of Corey Wenzel
I think so, but I really don't want to call the cops. I just kind of want to let things kind of blow by and leave everything alone, so that way eventually it'll just go away.
All right, and so when Corey Wenzel's friend called you on July 27th, Tuesday, July 27th, 2021, you said that in the background, you could hear Corey Wenzel ranting and raving about
Yeah.
who is the aggressor.
Right about the PPO order and the
So
situation.
this would have been after the PPO was served on him, you think?
Yeah, so it was probably like, I'd say a week and a half later.
All right, what time of the day or night was it? on
I was probably
Tuesday?
7:30, 8 o'clock at night.
Okay, thank you, sir. Has Corey Wenzel done anything since then that you think violates the personal protection order since July 27th, sir?
Nope, not since then.
Okay. And is there anything else you want me to know about why you think you still need a personal protection order against Corey Wenzel, Mr. Bigelow?
No, that should be it, I think.
All right, now, Mr. Bigelow, at this point, I'm going to give Corey Wenzel a chance to ask you some questions. And when he does that, I want you to listen to his question, pause, and then answer his question. And I don't want the two of you to be talking at the same time, because everything that is said is going to be recorded here in the courtroom, and it's hard for us to have an accurate recording if the two of you are speaking at the same time, and it's also hard for me to follow who is saying what if that happens. So, Mr. Wenzel, do you have any questions that you want to ask Jacob Bigelow? Oh, for Christ's sake. Apparently, Mr. Bigelow, we've had some problems regarding Mr. Wenzel, so we're going to take a break for a moment.
Okay.
All right.
Is on its way out.
Mr. Court is coming back in session. Honorable Commissar Evans presiding.
Good morning, you may be seated. Recalling the case of Jacob Bigelow versus Corey Wenzel. Jacob Bigelow, are you present via Zoom?
Yes, sir.
Corey Wenzel, are you present via Zoom?
Yes.
Corey Wenzel, we were in the process of taking some testimony from Jacob Bigelow regarding why he thinks he needs this personal protection order to continue in effect when somehow you disengaged from the participation in the hearing. At what point did that occur? Did you hear all of Jacob Bigelow's testimony up until now or not?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Is there anything that you missed?
I don't think I did. I don't think I missed anything.
All right. Do you want the hearing then?
I'm sorry?
You want to continue with the hearing then this morning?
Yes, I do.
All right, Mr. Bigelow had answered some questions from the court, and then he indicated he didn't have anything further to testify to at the moment. And so because of that, Corey Wenzel, if you have any questions, and these would be questions that you want to ask of Mr. Bigelow, you may go ahead. Do you have any questions you want to ask Jacob Bigelow, Mr. Wenzel?
If it would be okay, once we leave his girlfriend's house, if I'd give our mutual friend the house keys.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that acceptable to you, Jacob Bigelow?
Yes, sir.
All right, do you have any other questions you want to ask of Jacob Bigelow, Mr. Wenzel?
No, I don't.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bigelow. Thank you, Mr. Wenzel, and thank you, Mr. Bigelow. Now, Mr. Bigelow, you have testified. Do you have any other witnesses or evidence you want to present, Mr. Bigelow?
No, not at this time.
All right, Corey Wenzel, do you have any witnesses you want to call, or do you have any evidence you want to present?
No, not at this time.
Corey Wenzel, do you wish to testify yourself, or do you choose not to at this time?
I mean, I believe everything that all the allegations I have against me is all falsified, just to try to get me out of this girlfriend's house.
At this point, the testimony has come in from Jacob Bigelow. There's no testimony or evidence to the contrary. Do you want to testify, Mr. Wenzel, or do you not want to testify?
I mean, can you explain to testifying so I'm clear on how I word?
Okay, sir. I cannot give you legal advice, but this is your chance. If you wish to testify under oath about what you think the facts of this case are, then the chance to do that. And I will probably have some questions I would ask you, and Mr. Bigelow would be given the chance to cross-examine you and ask you questions also. On the other hand, if you choose not to testify under oath, then you don't have to do that, and there would not be any questions being put to you, but there would be no evidence or testimony from you for the court to consider either. Do you understand things, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess not at the moment, Your Honor.
Okay, so you choose not to testify today, is that correct, sir?
Yes, because I gotta get all my papers in order.
All right, well, today is the date and time scheduled for the testimony to be taken and the evidence to be presented. I just want you to understand that. And when you filed your motion to terminate the personal protection order, the clerk of the court scheduled this hearing to be held today, August 12th, which would have been 2 weeks or 14 days after July 29th, and the clerk of the court notified you at that time of today's hearing. So you don't have to present any evidence today, but the court is going to go ahead and rule today, regardless of whether you present evidence today or not. Do you understand those things, sir?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Knowing all of those things, do you wish to testify today or not, sir?
I would like to. I have the evidence, but I don't have it to present to you at this time. And I feel I was justified, Your Honor.
Okay, and we can get into that if you want. Now, do you want to testify under oath today, Mr. Wenzel?
Yes, I do.
All right, you still have been, I remind you, you have sworn to tell the truth. Now, what is it that you want to tell me about the facts of this case, Mr. Wenzel?
Okay. Well, when I overread the personal protection order, I noticed in the front it says I allegedly over the last 3 months harassed the respondent. I have only one number that they gave us to call to pay our rent with, and that's the number that we've been contacted. and they're the ones who wouldn't respond to our phone calls, and that's probably all they got. The only messages we have, Your Honor, is when we refused rent to his girlfriend over the phone, and we mentioned to them that we weren't going to pay rent this month because of the mold in the front of the house that they both agreed to help fix, and they said they were going to take rent off, etc. And then that never happened. And then when they said we ran into a store, I ran into him one time. I think it was one time back in May, and we had a mutual positive conversation, and I didn't think there was any harassment going on, and I have not threatened them. When we sent the messages to them, they were talking about the health department, and then it was talking about how we should have our kids taken away, or she would, and then the whole harassment over the phone. We didn't do any harassment, and another thing is that it was always my wife who was paying the rent for it. So realistically, I feel like I was justified just to get us out of their house quicker. I want to file a new lawsuit. I just wanted the false PPO dropped. That's all.
All right, what is it you feel you were justified in doing in order to get out of the house quicker, sir?
Well, I feel like because they're going through problems and with their family and stuff, and I felt like when we refused them on the rent, I feel like it just escalated things more, and I feel like they probably thought we were going to get, hostile or whatever, because a lot of people do in rental situations. This ain't my first time going through this. I'm smart. I don't sit there and not gonna sit there and frighten somebody over a rental issue. I spent 2 weeks working on this house for him and his girl here. I mean, there's so much to it, and all trying to do is get out of this house, get out of this county, and I don't even want to be around this area no more.
Okay, sir, thank you. Anything further you wanted to testify to, Mr. Wenzel?
I think that's it, Your Honor.
Okay, are you still living in the petitioner Jacob Bigelow's girlfriend's house?
Yeah, we're at his girlfriend's house. We're looking for a place. We're actually getting ready to get out of here ourselves. We have no intentions on staying any longer than we have to.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Bigelow, do you have any questions you want to ask of Corey Wenzel?
No, I don't.
All right, Corey Wenzel, thank you, sir. Do you have any other witnesses you want to call today, Mr. Wenzel?
No, I don't.
Do you have any other evidence you wish to present today, Mr. Wenzel?
No, not at the moment.
All right. Very well, then, from the proofs that have been presented, the court does find that there is a need for the personal protection order to remain in effect, at least for some period of time, and that over the last 4 months, the respondent has harassed the petitioner, and that these were actions that would have made a reasonable person feel frightened or intimidated or harassed, and that did make Mr. Bigelow feel that way. Accordingly, the court does find there is a reason, or there are reasons why the personal protection order should remain in effect, and the motion to terminate the personal protection order is denied. Now, Mr. Bigelow, it's a free country, and you're free to pursue whatever legal rights you have regarding this property, and that you and your wife are renting from the petitioner, Mr. Bigelow's girlfriend, and that's an entirely separate case than this one. However, it does sound like it's probably a good idea for you to get out of that house and to sever any connection that you have with Mr. Bigelow, so that that will probably remove a lot of the tension between you and Mr. Bigelow. But again, I'm not
Yeah.
ordering you to do that because that's not a case that's before this court. Thank you for being here, sir. That will be the order of the court. The motion to terminate the personal protection order is denied, and the personal protection order will remain in effect until further order of the court or until July of 2022, as previously ordered. We'll be in recess.
All rise. All rise. 5th District Court for the County of Clare is now in session. Thomas R. Evans presiding.
Good afternoon, you may be seated. Calling the case of Matthew Steele versus Catherine Yanez, file 21-900286-PP. Would you come forward, Ms. Yanez? And would you raise your right hand to be sworn in this?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, or nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Could you tell us your name, ma'am?
My name is Catherine Yanez.
You may be seated if you'd like, Ms. Yanez. What brings us into court today is that back on July 19, 2021, the petitioner Matthew Steele filed a petition for a personal protection order. Later that same day, the court issued an ex parte personal protection order against Kathy Yanez, prohibiting her from doing certain things, including prohibiting her from doing certain things with regard to Matthew Steele. That personal protection order is scheduled to remain in effect until further order of the court or until 11:59 p.m. on July 19, 2022. After the personal protection order was entered, according to a proof of service in the file, a copy of the personal protection order was served on Catherine Yanez, the respondent. Is that correct, Miss?
Yes.
So you received a copy of the personal protection order back on August 2nd of 2021?
I received it from you guys. You guys are the ones that served me when I came to file the petition for it to be terminated.
Okay, so on August 2nd, 2021,
Yes.
the clerk of the court served a copy of the personal protection order on you. Is that correct, Miss?
Yes. Yes.
And then that same day, August 2nd, 2021, you filed a motion to terminate the personal protection order for the stated reason, quote, "This is all lies. I never ever said that to his, he, quote, Matthew, unquote, told Chris was made by his girlfriend Kimberly Lawhorn. He had to put it on me. I worked in the nursing field and single mother. I don't talk like that," close quote. The case then, the motion to terminate the personal protection order was scheduled to be heard here today at 2 p.m. It's now 2:18 p.m. by the court's clock. The respondent, Catherine Yanez, appeared in a timely manner. However, Matthew Steele has not appeared, and the court staff informs me that you, Ms. Yanez, delivered a copy of the notice of today's hearing and a copy of the motion to the Sheriff's Department and asked the Sheriff's Department to serve Mr. Steele with the notice of today's hearing and a copy of the motion, correct? But the clerk informs me that the staff at the Sheriff's Department has informed her that they have not served Matthew Steele with notice of today's hearing, nor have they served him with a copy of the motion. So we're not going to be able to proceed today without Mr. Steele. Do you still want the personal protection order to be terminated, ma'am?
Yeah, because like I said, I work in the nursing field and we're gonna have state in our building. That's why my boss is on me, because I'm about to lose my job over this hanging.
Okay. What we're going to have to do then, apparently you still want the personal protection order to be terminated and you want to proceed with your motion, but we're not going to be able to proceed today. I'm trying to figure out when the next day is that I will be available, because you're going to have to make sure that a copy of the notice of hearing is served on Mr. Steele.
I was informed by Tim Silverman, the property owner, that Matthew don't live there no more. I don't talk to Matthew. That's when I'm screwed. I'm about to be without a job. I go home and tell them it's on me. My job's already told me, and that's what I said. I live downstate. He's got one on my son, if you look in there, Jose Costello. I don't know why I got one, but he used to live with us in October. Back home. All I said is he's not welcome back to my home. There was damages done. Oakland County told me, you're dealing with circus clowns, leave them alone. That's fine. I came up here because Tim Silman is my boyfriend, the property owner. And I get slammed with these papers and I'm like, what's going on? So I go and call my boss because I know State's about to be in the nursing home. And he's like, Kathy, you gotta get it off you.
Okay. And why is it, Miss, that you think you'll lose your job if the personal protection order remains in effect, ma'am?
Because in the nursing field that we work in, we have State coming in. And she's just real evil. Anything, she's ready to, and she's already, I was honest, I took him all the papers, because this is not right, it's lies. And if you look in his statement, you see where I said, you're not welcome to my home no more. I've never, ever in my life said I'm going to kill anyone.
Okay, now, are you saying Matthew Steele no longer
No, that's,
is in the house with you? Was he living in the same household as you at one point, ma'am?
yes, they lost their property up here. Oakland, you guys, Clear County would know about it because you guys had to come multiple times because we had livestock, couldn't get it off the property. Well, it was winter time. I have a 5-bedroom house downstate. I'm dating Tim, the property owner. So me saying, come down, he's getting double knee surgery, Tim is. Kimberly is Tim's daughter. Matthew is Tim's daughter's boyfriend. They broke up and now I'm getting served with PPOs and it's just, my house got damaged through all this. Oakland County won't do a report because the damages is minor stuff. It's nothing major. Matthew and my son, my 19-year-old son, they have verbal words. They're boys, And he comes up here and he brings stuff that happened in May to you guys that you guys don't know nothing about because Oakland County won't even do a report because they said they got more important things to deal with than circus clowns. I don't like being called circus clowns because I'm a human. And for him just to write lies and for people just to approve of PPO or anything, it's just like how? Now this boy, I don't know where he is. I know nothing about him and now I'm stuck with a PPO until.
All right. What I'm going to do is this, ma'am. I'm going to dismiss the personal protection order. I'll dismiss it today, but I want you to be fully aware that Matthew Steele might very well file another petition for a personal protection order. And if he does, and if the court issues that personal protection order, then it sounds like you're going to be in a world of hurt because of your job. So it would be in your best interest not to do anything whatsoever to provoke Matthew Steele, and it would be in your best interest to stay away from Matthew Steele. Thank you for being here. The record should reflect it's 2:25 p.m. Mr. Steele still has failed to appear. We'll be in recess.
All rise.